Hello, I'm your host, Leonard Duncan. Welcome to a new episode of ATV-TALK and Motorsports Podcast. Please join us every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We bring you interviews with industry professionals, live events, live news about the motorsports industry in every episode. Enjoy the show. Doug Henke, welcome to ATV-TALK. How are you, man?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. You got to go back in history to figure out what was done then that we're missing today.
Whew. I don't know. Like I said, every brand was out there racing. Everybody was on ATVs. There wasn't side by sides. Everybody was doing it. Everybody was outdoors racing, and I wanted to be part of it. So
In
it
our
was a
in our
good time.
in our pre-talk, you mentioned three-wheelers. You know, you're 55, I'm 58, going to be 59. So we've been around a long time. What were the three-wheelers you were riding before you transitioned?
Oh my God, this is crazy. ATC 110 was the first three-wheeler. Then we got an ATC 250R, of course. I had a Tri Z 250, a Takati 250, and my brother and I just raced back and forth. Then we swapped bikes and somehow ended up back on the Takati again. And we stayed with those for a long time. And we rode the woods around everywhere. But that's mostly what I was on, the high performance two stroke three wheelers. But I did start off with the ATC 110, which was kind of a letdown. But at the same time, a few years back before my last back surgery, a bunch of us got together and went out on old 225 DX Yamahas and just went on leisurely trail rides. And that was so much fun. I missed it. It was good times back then.
Oh, it's back when the machines were, I think, way better, constructed. They lasted longer, in a lot of ways. I mean, some of the stuff today is pretty good, but
Oh, yeah.
there was, I don't know what the difference is today, but everyone was riding. All the young people, older people, didn't matter. Everyone was riding.
Yeah. Every time we went out somewhere, especially at riding spots around here, which are now gone, everyone was out on the weekends in the woods. There was trails everywhere, and none of that's going on anymore. The only things left is maybe side by side poker runs, which really not into that.
No, not too much. I don't fare too well in UTVs. They
Yeah,
always had the tendency to go upside down.
yeah, and they're way too expensive. They're not as fun. It's not a one-on-one connection. So
Right, right. So how old were you got when you transitioned or started racing the three-wheelers, four-wheelers, whatever it was?
well, the three wheelers we just kind of played around with. I really never raced the three wheelers. Actually, tell you the truth, I first got into racing four wheelers. I think was on a made the switch, and actually that extra front wheel did help out. I hated to do it, but I was on a TRX 250R, and I rode those 87, 88, 89, and made the transition over to a Banshee there for a while and started racing the local series, which, well, District 11, mostly Southern Ohio. I did that on a 250R and a Banshee. Then I went back to a 250R again. And I was not one of the ones that actually, hit every race. I just hit when I could with my schedule. I worked in a plant 12-hour rotating shifts. So I really didn't have all the time off to do it. But I kept riding. Like I said, I went back to the 250R until 99, until the 400EX came out, and got rid of all the 250R stuff and rode the 400EX, and I loved it. That was so smooth. That was the way to go. As soon as I got on it, I knew that was a perfect fit. And I rode that for a while. And of course, like I said, I was hit and miss because my work schedule, and I had two boys. So I really didn't get to hit everything like I wanted to do. But like I said, I'm just a weekend rider. So that's the way I did things there for the longest time.
We broke up a little bit there on the Wi-Fi.
Okay, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I don't know how much of that you missed.
I missed how comfortable the 400 was, and you said you were hit and miss, and then I lost you right after that.
Okay. After I made the transition to the four-stroke, really clearly saw that's the wave of the future. A nice, smooth, tractable power. It was so much easier to ride in the woods than the 250R. And I made that transition and raced District 11 over the next, I don't know, several years on and off. Then, like I said, I had kids growing up, so I had to kind of lay off a little bit, work lots of overtime. My wife wasn't working back when, so like I said, I was just whenever I could kind of rider.
Right. When did you transition, or when did you start going to the GNCC races?
Well, this is kind of crazy. Right before the 400EX, right about the same time, 99 400EX, they came out early in 98. I still had a 250R. I actually went to Starvation Point in 98. And I did Starvation Point and the old Wilderness 100. I jumped in the 250B class for the heck of it. And back then, it was school buses chopped down. It was turned into haulers. Everybody was pulling their pop-up campers and tent camping, and not the multi-million-dollar toter homes like there are today. And it was just weekend riders out there racing, and that's what I loved about it. But I raced those two races, and I'd say 90. That was 98. And then I finally, like I said, I parked the 250R after those two races and made the transition to the 400EX. And I don't think I raced the 400EX in a national. Had things come up with work and layoffs in the local plants. But the first GNCCs I did were in 98. It was the Wilderness 100 and the Starvation Point. I believe that's where Bob Sloan passed away in 98 when we were racing there.
I think you're right.
Yeah, might have to check me on that, but I was in the 250B class. I think I got first or second, and first time with a twist throttle on the bike there. It was so muddy. Thank God it was, because I had no control. It felt like I was wide open all the time. So thank God it was slick.
Well, yeah, made it a little easier for you, I guess.
Yes,
Right?
yes, it did.
You know, how I got your name was I got an old flyer from GNCC,
Oh
and
yeah.
you're featured in it.
Oh yeah. Huh.
Yeah, and
Well, that's interesting.
I think it's from 2005.
Oh, 2004 I actually got the ride with Kawasaki.
Okay.
So that might have been the flyer from that. And
Yep.
that's a kind of a crazy how that come to be too. That was, like I said, did my first GNCs in 98. Might have hit one or two after that. I don't really remember, and mostly local stuff. And it was just maybe once or twice a year. And actually, my love of riding, my brother and his friends, we'd all take off and trail ride, but it always became a race through the woods, trying to get ahead of each other. And we stayed with that for a long time until, my gosh, it was, I think, 2003. I was in an accident, almost lost my left arm, and I ended up running into a V-Force, the automatic kind of a sport quad. And that's how I ended up on that. And yeah, and I fit pretty good on it. I felt good on it. And I ended up talking to some of the factory Kawasaki guys on the old ATV connection forums. And I was having a problem with the bike. This is the crazy story. It's probably bad, but I was having trouble with the bike, and my motor mounts broke off the back of the early V Forces, and I guess that was a known problem. Weak welds on the frame, and they told me, "Hey, you got to come over to the John Penton." I know that's close by because I used to race District 11 there years ago on this, 400 in the 250R. So I went over there, and they said the Japanese would be there and they'd like to see the bike. So I went over there, and that's when the Howe brothers were racing, and that's who I did talk to. And I took the bike over, and that's when I met Doug Duchette. And they said, "Oh yeah, they take care of everything, take care of it." And they're like, "Are you going to race?" And I'm like, "I never thought about racing this bike. It was a nice new bike. I wanted to try to keep it nice." And I'm like, well, why not? See how I can do. And I had to borrow a helmet. I think I wore blue jeans or coveralls and a pair of work boots. And that was in Millfield of 2003 and early production for the V Force. They came out as a 2004, 2003. And I raced there and I ended up first in the class, Utility Unlimited, which transitioned to U2, then 4x4 Pro nowadays. Won the class and it came second overall. So I was really pumped up about it, but my bike was destroyed after the race. And I got a call, I don't know, a few days after I got home from Doug. And caller ID came up, Kawasaki USA. And I was like, oh my God, this is awesome, and got a little bit of help after that.
Nice. How long did you race that machine?
Well, actually, after I got home in 2003, after the Millfield race, he asked me if I had beadlocks or any of this or that. I'm just a plant worker here in West Virginia with two kids and a wife at the time that didn't want to work. Long gone. But anyway, they asked if I needed anything. I'm like, well, I have a hole in the radiator now. And he's like, do you have any beadlocks for this thing? And I'm like, no, it's a bone stock bike. I just jumped on it. Do you have pipes or anything? I'm like, no, I have nothing. It was a bone stock bike. And they're like, well, hey, we'll send you some beadlocks out. We got a new radiator coming. Will you make it to the next race? I think that was in Virginia. I forget the name of the race, but I showed up there and won that. And they kept me in supply of parts through the rest of the year. And that's how this all started with the V Force.
I got to race it in 2004,
Oh yeah.
So I get it. We didn't do a whole lot of mods to them, pipes, jet them,
Yeah.
shocks, brake lines, steering dampeners, and change the wheels and tires. I think I whole shotted almost every race.
Oh yeah. I love the bike. I love the bike. I actually recently purchased one and just sat on it. I've had a couple back surgeries since then, but I just can't do it anymore. But the memories are there. But
Right.
yeah, awesome bikes. The first thing we did was the crossover intakes. I really thought that was the biggest improvement and kind of gave me a edge back then. I think it helped a lot more than anything else, and especially for a stock motor. But yeah, we raced the rest of 2003, and then into 2003, I got the call from Reed Nordine back when,
Right.
and oh my God, some poor little country West Virginia hillbilly. I got this call, and it was just a dream come true for just like I said, just a dirt road kid who rode three wheeler, and it was really cool.
How much of the Kawasaki gear do you still have?
I have some hats and shirts, and I think one pair of uh, the moose gear that I had back when, which of course when this all happened, and I finally got the formal call. I think Kevin was actually the first leak. Kevin from HMF. I don't know if Kevin's with them any longer, but HMF gave me a call and said, "Hey, there might be something coming down the pike for you," and yeah, kind of gave me a heads up. And Kevin, if you're out there, I forget your name. It's been so long ago. I don't know where you're at now, but he told me something to be coming up. Then Reed had called. Then, of course, HMF supplied pipes. Then the gear and Alpine Star, I think M2R helmets. Everything started happening, and it was just overwhelming. Had so much stuff coming UPS. It was like Christmas every day.
How old were your boys at that point?
Okay, I got to do some math here real quick. Let's see. I had one in 93 and 96, and this was 2004. So I have a 8-year old was my oldest was my yes, my 8-year old Brent, which he is hit and missed here the last few years. I bought a Renegade and he jumped on it and went to snowshoe and got second overall out of the blue, and never really rode the bike before. But then my youngest one's 3 years younger, so he would have been 5, so 5 and 8. So trying to take care of them and working all the time.
What did they think about, their dad, you know, with all this factory gear and all this new stuff?
Well, they loved it to death, and honestly, tell you the truth, we were just talking about this the other day. before you said anything to me, I remember I had so much Maxima oils in the SC1, and I could never figure out where all the SC1 went to. It smelled so good, and they used it for like bicycle chain lube and everything else, just because they loved the scent of it, which is kind of crazy. But they loved it. They loved it. They loved being around it, and both boys were into racing after me. But yeah, it helped push them that way, and they've got their kids, my grandkids, kind of steered that way. But yeah, they're the same shape. They just, I don't know, we don't have the funding to make that, an every race type of thing, and just a hit and a miss thing. And like I said, my oldest one was more into it more than my youngest, and he's had to step back. He's got two kids now too, but I did hear that we're going to go this weekend, and he's going to try racing again. It's been a few years off for him, so
Nice. That's how many grandkids you got?
I've got three. My oldest has got a boy and a girl, and my youngest has a daughter. That's going to be three.
That's
So
some stuff. And you got to ride that Kawasaki through the 2004 season?
yeah, I went clear through the 2004 season. The love the bike. I think I had a couple of DNFs. I had a front hub explode, and the wheel was held on by, I think, two lugs. Then the next thing you know, I was pushing it too hard, and I tried to three-wheel the bike. I lost the tire balls and a front wheel, and I tried to three-wheel the bike through the woods, Petersburg, Virginia, I believe, and that didn't last. But I was leading that. Of course, that was a DNF. I had a swing arm break at the old Steel Creek. I believe it was Steel Creek. It broke a swing arm, so that was done as soon as it started. And I had another rollover sensor. The rollover sensor, if you're familiar with the V-Force, it came off the pendulum, so the bike wouldn't fire at the time. I had no idea what was going on with it. But as soon as I got that taken care of, that was never a problem again. But if those three events, I believe, never happened, I would have had a perfect season.
Wow. So you won the title?
Yeah, I won it in 2004. Like I said, three DNFs, and the rest of them are wins, and pretty decent sized wins. But like I said, I wasn't used to all this. Like I said, I just like to hit and miss, and it got to be too much of a job for me. I have to go do this. I really don't want to drive to Gilmer, Texas, or wherever. Yeah, the first race was in Gilmer, Texas. I'm like, oh my gosh, we got clear to Gilmer, Texas, and got there. And I think I had, my God, three flats in that race. Still ended up winning it, but shortly after, Wade with tire balls helped out. We had tire balls after that. Never had a problem with flats again. But yeah, that was a dedication and commitment to do all the rounds of the racing. Because, like I said, I was just a hit and miss type of guy, and in the training, Kawasaki had us. If any Reed or anybody else is out there, we had to do weekly logs with our training and what we were doing. I fudged it all. I had to work. My riding was my training, and so. But yeah, that's how it went. I just got lucky, I guess, and I was in decent shape back then. But I guess I was kind of sorry.
Did you pass on 2005?
Well, 2004 at the end of the season, they canceled the team. They got rid of the team. So myself, Scott Kilby, Ryan Woobling, Brian Halsey, Mike Pinland, we were all gone. Brian Baker, they let us all go. And I guess the funding went toward motocross and James Stewart.
Yeah.
That's what we were told. So that kind of came to an end. Then I actually did get some help for the following year, which it took me out of my comfort zone because I really was hesitant about doing it again. Like I said, I was getting tired. I didn't want to do it all the rounds. I love riding, but I was taking the love away from it because I felt like this was a job now, if that makes any sense. But I did get a call from Four Stroke Tech to try the brute force. And we did a brute force 840. And I missed the first round. I think it was in the dealer show. Jimmy White had it in the dealer show. He was working for Ramsey Winch back when, and we had a winch on it, so it kind of tied things together. And Mickey had put that deal together. And uh, my first round, I think I missed the first, and we got to Florida. I think Gilmer was still on the race list, and we went to Florida for my first round and got there, and the bike wouldn't run, messing with jetting, and not trying to say anything bad, but we were trying to put up the tent. More emphasis was on the tent and the team. And in the meantime, my bike wouldn't run. So didn't start out too good with the brute force. So if you need to cut any of this, I'm sorry. But yeah, the brute force, after you got it, tried to get it dialed in and tried to get it to work, it just kept breaking things. Then I got actually hit in the first turn in Florida. The bike wouldn't start. Got it to go, got into the first turn, and somebody T-boned me head on. Ended up ripping a control arm off the rear and actually cut a big chunk out of my face, lower lip, face area, chin. And that was the end of that. So next thing you know, we were in Georgia with a broken bike trying to get parts together, and I couldn't get a hold of anybody to help. So it was kind of hard to get ready for a photo shoot that was planned for Georgia, and a bike that was broke and not quite running right. So shortly after that, we parted ways. The bike was gone, got rid of it, and that was about it for me.
Wow, that's crazy. In 2005, I had the option to go again in 2005 with them, and I opted to go to the Honda 450.
Oh, yeah. Well,
are you looking for the best suspension technology for your sport ATV? Look no further than Elka Suspension, the industry leader in sport ATV suspension technology. With championship wins in prestigious events such as the Dakar Rally, SCORE, Best in the Desert, ATV MX, Cross Country, and Works, Elka Suspension has established itself as the go-to choice for athletes and enthusiasts alike. But they don't just stop at ATVs. They're constantly expanding into new markets, including UTVs, trucks, SUVs, pit bikes, snowmobiles, and more. Their commitment to innovation and quality means they're always looking to improve and adapt so you can enjoy a smooth ride wherever you go. Want to learn more about what Elka Suspension can do for you? Visit their website at elkasuspension.com or give them a call at 450-655-4855. They will always be happy to answer your questions and help you find the perfect suspension solution for your needs.
Patrick at Recluse got a hold of me, and I had bought actually a TRX 450R. I don't know, I showed you my forearm, almost lost my left forearm, and he hooked me up with a Recluse, and we were trying to get that together, and it just couldn't get things to work. It couldn't click on the bike. So actually I laid back for a while and just took some time off. By that time, my kids are into the little youth quads, and we're back at Millfield at the John Penton with both my boys out there on youth quads. So I sat back, took a back seat, and we started getting more people racing in my area, and District 11 started fading away. And there was a new series. It's not now called Wexer here in the Mid-Ohio Valley, Ohio, West Virginia area. It used to be called Extreme Dirt Series. And it was kind of like a miniature national. So there was people coming from everywhere. And I remember the new went from Utility Unlimited to U2. Brian Buchanan was now the Utility U2 champ. And I remember coming back from vacation, had my boys' stuff all lined up and ready to go when we came back to go to one of these Extreme Dirt Series races. And Brian was there, and he was asking me where my bike was at. And I still had a V-Force in the garage. So I went home and got it, and I was like wondering how I would compare to Brian back when. And you could talk to him. The V-Force still was outshining the early Can-Ams back then. And it was, like I said, a local race. It was 2 hours, and I think I had a good 10, 12 minutes on him back when. And I'm thinking, dang, I'm still feeling pretty good. Then that was another shot back at it. And a few years later, I remember Rick Deco came out, and he was racing. I think he might have been the champ for the U2 then. He might have took over for a year. I come out the Millfield on a bike and raced against him over there just to see if I still had it. I'm getting older because I didn't realize how much older I really was compared to these guys. These guys are 6 and 7 years younger than me. But I went over and raced Millfield one more time, and I actually won in Millfield. I forget the year, but there is still a video out there on YouTube somewhere. It was a really muddy race. He was kind of leading. I couldn't get around him, but kind of covering my goggles with mud every turn. I couldn't get around. I finally bumped him pretty hard. I didn't really mean to, and he knows it. we still talk and everything else, but that was my last real GNCC, was against Rick Checo at Millfield years ago. So as far as on a V-Force.
Did the bump get you by?
The bump, oh yeah, you can look it up. Yeah, I think it's Henke, Checo, Millfield, GNCC. Yeah, I bumped him pretty hard, but I was coming in hot. He was rounding a turn with the fence post in a tree, and I kind of ramped into the turn and bumped him so hard I knocked the tire off the bead. So, but I kept on going. So anyway, but yeah, that's been years ago, but that was good times. I do miss those days.
You raced in an era when GNCC is still super popular, and
Oh yeah,
one of the only series that's actually got growth every year.
yeah.
But the courses then are different than the courses now.
Oh, completely different. Back then, oh my gosh, it was a lot tighter. It's more. There was bottlenecks though, but we made our ways through it. But now it's like, I don't know, NASCAR through the woods. A lot higher speeds. It's not technical like it was. And like I said, I was going back into the 90s when we did early 90s district races and stuff. Everything has completely changed. It's as fast as you can go to get as many people as you can through the woods as fast as you can. It's completely changed. Not the same at all.
I've heard some of the riders of today complain when the courses are tight and technical.
Oh, well, yeah, I can say one thing about that. I think, I forget, it was another Millfield race. I was there for, I don't remember exactly. It might have been in one of the years after Cal. I was over there riding, and I was with Stephanie Parton, Tracy Checo, Angel Atwell. We were all together, and we were in a section of woods that was, I guess, supposedly impassable, but we were the leaders, and they had cut that section off and started routing people around. So I believe we had some new faces that actually were on the podium at that race. I don't want to say any names, but yeah, some of the leaders were stuck back. When we finally got out, we were like, who's on the podium? We were all right there together. But that was the only instance that I remember that was so bad. They cut off a huge section, and it kind of, we got shortchanged.
Yeah, they didn't. I don't remember hearing a lot of the GNCC series doing that very often. They had a lot of integrity for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty good. Like I said, that's the only thing I was kind of upset about that. But then again, we knew where we were at, and we were in that lead pack that they, rerouted around, and there's nothing we could do about it. But either way, we were out there having fun. I enjoyed it. It was a great time.
How was your relationship with Doug at Kawasaki?
Actually, really good. Doug was an awesome dude. I actually went to snowshoe to the GNCC by myself this past year just to yell at Doug because, like I said, I had bought a V-Force just to set in the garage. And I was trying to look for some hard to find parts just to try to make it period correct and stuff. And I yelled at him, but some of that stuff's obsolete now. And whoever has it, they're hoarding it. So, but I talk to him every time I see him. And I think he about dies when he sees my kids because my kids have gray hair now,
That's
So,
I
yeah.
I got reprimanded. Well, I broke a rear end,
Oh
the
yeah.
gear in the back.
Oh yeah.
And he said, "Hey, yeah, send it out here. We'll fix it for you." And I sent it in and fixed it. Well, I broke a second one
Oh yeah.
and I just shipped it.
Oh yeah.
I didn't get authorization. I didn't get the okay. I I get the heated phone call. You are not allowed to do this. You know,
Nice.
you're
Well,
not. Well, it turned out okay. They fixed it, but he wasn't.
yeah.
He wasn't real happy with me. You
Yeah.
know.
I always yelled at Doug. We had a parts allowance back when. I'd always call it in or take care of things. Stuff would be sent. But like I said, I did break one swing arm, and but yeah, Doug was always on top of things, making things right, checking the bikes over, making sure they look decent. But yeah, he's a good dude. He's still into the motorcycle scene, which kind of sad. Uh, wish the big manufacturers are still in it. It's kind of sad Yamaha's the only one out there, other than Can-Am with their quad. But
Yeah, but
yeah,
it's not, but they don't have a sport quad,
yeah, no sport quad, no sport quad. Yeah, it's sad. But KTM was back then. Uh,
right?
Can-Am had their 450. Yamaha, Honda, Suzuki, Cal. Everybody had their stuff.
Yeah, and and I don't know what caused the demise. Probably just basically sales numbers. Yamaha's selling everything they have, and I
Yeah,
believe somebody would come out with another one that would breathe life into it.
I'll guarantee it. I don't know what's holding it back. I know side by side sales are supposed to be crazy, and you see them driving on the street all the time, but they're still racing, cross country. And there's only one brand to choose. And I don't know, there's somebody's missing out on a lot of money somewhere. I just wish even aftermarket stuff would come back out, and aftermarket chassis and retrofit a KTM motor on it or whatever else, just to open up the class so it's not production, but you could have like it used to be years ago, anything kind of goes, under a CC limit.
Well, they're keeping them production based
Yeah.
to keep Yamaha involved.
That's exactly what it is then.
You know,
It's
and
yeah,
I don't think that Yamaha would go anywhere, but Yamaha may not, sponsor anybody
yeah,
if they're not going to get, if they're not going to be exclusive, and
yeah,
then they've done a bunch of stuff in the motocross where they raced hybrids against the 450s,
yeah.
and factory Yamaha is still better.
Oh yeah.
I
Well,
mean, there are certain classes it's not, but when you get into the pro am and the pro class, that Yamaha, because the technology's been,
and they've
people
stayed with it.
you know, it just
Yeah.
gets so many people have developed great products for it that it's hard to beat.
And at the same time, though, the Honda's still out there racing. You know, there's a few of them still out there. Like this is crazy. Jerry McClure, he's
Yep.
still out there, and he was a C class rider when I was out there on the V Force, along with Brandon Summers, and there's a few others. They were C class riders when I was racing the V Force, and it's kind of awesome to see they're still out there racing. And but yeah, the Hondas are still out there. But I think if somebody can make something, there could be some competition. But then again, like you said, there might be some people losing some rides and some help.
You never know. I mean, but you're opening up the doors. Like we talk all the time. If Suzuki just put their 450 back out on the market the
Oh
way
yeah.
it was,
Oh yeah. Yep. It would sell.
yeah, even
Yep.
even the weaknesses it had, it would still
Yep.
sell.
Oh yeah. For sure. For sure. Oh yeah.
We could him and haw about all of that forever, but I still think that, the era that you got to race in was maybe not the biggest portion of the heyday, but it was a pretty great time.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I was I kind of wish I was born a little earlier so I could have raced like three wheelers. Uh, the 200X stuff was really pretty awesome too. I wanted to really do something with that. I did forget. I did throw out the 350X. I did have 350X, but it was not king of the hill for me. The 250R still was the king of the hill if I can go back in time and have something to keep again. The 250R would be the way to go. But oh yeah, 350X was out there too. Racing the three wheelers would have been awesome. I didn't realize how much stuff was going on around me because at the time I was too young, and my parents were into different things than out riding motorcycles and ATVs. But yeah, I was kind of. I think for me it was the heyday day because all the manufacturers were out there at the same time. It was awesome.
Right. I agree. You know, you don't know a different time without them.
Yeah,
Have you done any, have you seen any of the new four-stroke three-wheelers that they build?
yeah. It's looked like a motorcycle. It's just a motorcycle. Yeah, a motorcycle with a revamped, quad or you know, two wheels on the rear. I don't know if I really like that. I don't. I'm not sure.
There's a guy, there's probably a couple guys that are making chassis frames for them, and
Oh
they're
yeah,
dropping in, the modern day four-stroke motor,
inverted.
and they're pretty awesome.
Oh yeah. Well, I can tell you this. There's supposed to be a ride coming up here real soon, which my boy's going to race, and there's going to be a ride coming up, and I still have my younger brother has an '86 ATC 250R, and he was going to take it woods riding. I'm so jealous because I really can't go out there and do that stuff anymore because of my back. But he is going to take his three wheeler riding, and the cost of an '86 ATC 250R now. I don't know if you've seen prices. My God, they're ridiculous anymore. But he's going to trail ride his. Like, no way, you can't do that. But
There's three-wheeler collectors that are freaking out hearing that.
oh yeah, I guarantee it. I wish I had a picture I could put up on screen. It's a beautiful '86 ATC 250R, and
Yeah.
he's not gonna beat on it. He's gonna baby it around. But oh yeah, yep,
Yeah, but the dirt and the mud are so unforgiving, you
oh yeah,
know, it's crazy. The things that happen to the machine when you go ride them. Um, the restoration business for three-wheelers is really off the charts.
oh yeah. I actually had a bike. That's probably been almost 10 years ago, an '86R. It was showroom new. I was getting a divorce, so I had it in storage. I sold it to a guy in New York, and the guy in New York was friends with the guy that just sold the crated one in New York. They, I guess, went to school together. And I called him and asked him if he'd be interested in selling it back. And of course, it was three times the price that I sold it for. But yes, love to have it back. But yeah, time's going by. You never know. You don't realize how much the price is going to go on things. But
COVID kicked a bunch of the prices up on a lot of that stuff.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
things insane.
it wasn't crazy insane expensive. I mean, it was still getting up there, but during COVID, the prices just skyrocketed.
Oh yeah, yeah. Everything's worth at least 10, 12,000 for a junker nowadays. And if I'm not mistaken, the crated one sold for 200,000,
Yep.
$200,000. And I'll throw this in here. I know you're on YouTube. If you just look up ATC water skipping, there's a couple goofy videos of myself, my brother, and a couple friends on 250Rs back when, and a town, a couple mining towns, a few miles away, trying to water skip three wheelers, flipping end over end,
Ah,
drowning them out, tearing them up. Coal hills, we used to climb the coal hills, and oh yeah, it's yeah, destroying stuff. Didn't realize what we had. You know,
but you still
crazy.
would have done it.
Oh yes, oh yeah. But
In
actually, tell you
fact,
the truth, I sat back on a couple of videos and videoed them because I didn't want to destroy mine at the time. But I later on actually I had to try it myself. But
right.
it's crazy, crazy, crazy.
You can build you can build a 250R almost, well, the three-wheelers are harder. You can't go completely aftermarket, but you can build an entire aftermarket engine, um, minus the flywheel and the CDI.
Yeah,
And there are people out there who say, "Oh, you can do the China CDI or you can do the China freaking flywheel." No, you can't because they don't work.
yeah. Yeah. Actually, I just started, I'm on Facebook, of course. I started following that Dave Moore Racing, and I was seeing where he's building the billet cased Twigger cylinder bikes. It kind of got me interested that I like to put something together. And at the same time, my oldest son is actually building an 87 TRX 250R right now. And I'm seeing it going together right now and all the pictures that come in. And it just kills me, man. I just like to smell the old blends all do cycle oil again. And I
Yeah,
miss that.
I still live it because we're doing the exact same thing. You know, we haven't missed a day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my.
In in 27 we'll be we'll be 50 years old as far as our company goes.
That is crazy. That
Yeah.
is insane.
And we're
That
not
is,
just building two strokes. We're building the four strokes and the two strokes.
yeah. I believe you had the Duncan Racing graphics kit that looked so good on the 250R back when.
Every
Duncan Racing Golden West. That was it. That was it.
Yep.
That was. I'm telling you what. My son that's building his bike right now. He wants the red kit. Trying to find the retro gold. Golden what Golden West
Yeah, they
Duncan
don't
Racing.
you don't have the Golden West on there anymore.
Oh yeah.
They actually went out of business. But that red graphics kit is still the design we sell.
Oh, you do sell it.
Yep.
I'm going to have to turn him on to it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
There's a
That is
lot of the
awesome.
stuff that still sells, that's still sold, but some of it, some of the stuff doesn't, we don't make anymore because you just can't. I don't have the
Yeah.
tools anymore. So
Yeah.
you had to modernize it and change it. But
Yeah. Yeah. I just got pictures actually a few hours ago. He's got the A arms on, got the front suspension on, uh, got his plastic laid out, and the one with the red and white.
has he got factory or did he have to go aftermarket?
You see how much factory plastics is going for nowadays?
It could be
It's
fun.
yes. I saw a set the other day for $5,500 for factory. I think it was factory red 88 plastic, but no, he's got white Meyer plastic for it with a red hood, and he's got a four works seat for it and foam. And but yeah, it's gonna look really good when he's done with it. But oh yeah, I'll have to definitely send him your way on that.
No, yeah, no problem. You know, we still do all of that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Building a I'm building a Lobo that was built in 2003 right now.
Uh,
It was originally Doug Eichner's, and another one of the guys that rode for us on the West Coast purchased it, and it's going from a motocross bike to a desert bike.
that is awesome. I wish I had had the chance to ride out west. My gosh, seeing the scenery, even some of the desert races, which I was invited to a desert race years ago with Mike Penland,
Right,
and actually kind of crazy, unfortunate. Hoyt, his son, went,
right.
and I didn't go. So, but that would have been my chance to go, and I kind of missed it. Like I said, I work a 12-hour rotating shift in a plant, and it's kind of
Right.
hard to do that kind of stuff back when.
Yeah, I
But
mean, all of us that were fortunate enough to be able to plan it and do it.
oh yeah,
I mean, I was in a great seat. I lived it.
yeah, yep. I'm jealous. I'm very jealous.
Yeah, every day. I still do it every day. I was in Tampa over the weekend, putting a guy's bike together.
Nice.
Yeah. And
That
he bought
that's
it from
very cool.
somebody else and then bought all the chassis upgrades and some top end upgrades from me. I fly back there, shipped everything back, flew back there to put it together, get it all done. And there was no way to test the transmission beforehand.
Oh,
Well, I had it on the stand when I was doing the break-in idles, and I
hmm.
shifted it through the gears and it worked and everything was okay. I didn't make it, 30 feet.
Oh,
Yeah. So I got a message from him this morning. Hey, Hall Bikes is picking it up on Friday. So,
nice.
so he wanted to avoid shipping it out to us.
Yeah.
Well, now he's had to ship it back out to us.
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I did have one other little thing I wanted to throw out there real quick. This was kind of another. I forgot there was one more comeback. There was a tire company in Indiana that used to be associated with Looney Tuned exhaust.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember them or not. They had a big rig
Yeah.
and semi, and there was a guy I was friends with him. He had one of my old Kawasaki 8x11s taped to his front bumper, and they got a hold of me and helped me get a bike to come out and race one race, just to race against that person. And like I said, I like this person, but I just came out to race this guy, and they wanted me to come out. And that was one more appearance I was able to make on a V Force, and then that was it. That was it. But I have snuck out there over the last, last 5 or 6 years. Nothing's happened because of my back and everything. But I did come out on a carbed YFZ Recluse clutch. Love the Recluse, and I actually ended up with one of the pro guys. I can't Cole. Can't think of Cole's last name. One of the pro GNCC guys had one of his fuel injected bikes. Oh my God, it was just too much snap. So I went back to a milder carbed YFZ, and I rode that in the super senior class and got to race with a couple of really good dudes, Brad Macri being one of them. I remember going out a couple of times and no ride time. We are both arm pumped. We didn't really want to pass each other first couple of rounds. We did a couple of rounds together, and it's just like trying to get the conditioning back as we go. Then, of course, work where I work, there was a skeleton crew, and somebody misses or gets hurt, you're stuck filling in. So that was the end of that. So, and that was it. That's been a few years back though. But yep, I miss it. I love it. I got a bike in the garage still. I look at. That's about it.
But you had that moment, you know,
Oh
2000,
yeah,
2004,
yeah.
that makes it all worth it.
Yep. I got my local Kawasaki dealer. He kept all the Kawasaki newsletters and the little magazines that came, and everyone that came in, he made sure to give it to me because he would talk about the ATV team and how we were doing, and every little Dirt Wheels magazine back then. Actually, my parents would even keep those too, and I have a couple copies of everything just to look back. And honestly, I was scared to death to do something like this. I'd be stumbling or squirrel. It'll take me a different way. I'm bouncing this to that. But I thought, if anything, I am getting older. Health. I've had a lot of health issues lately, but my grandkids or great grandkids, one of these days, if this comes out, they can look back and go, "Hey, that was my grandpa." So,
How this works for you is it comes out an audio version first. So in 2 or 3 weeks, it'll come out in an audio version on Apple Podcast or Stitcher or whatever the podcast platforms are out there. And and then that weekend, it'll come out on YouTube.
oh, I got you. I'll definitely
So
keep
if
an
you
eye
have
on
any
that.
photos that you can send us, that would be great.
I definitely will. At first, when that link came through, I'm like, this has got to be a scam. Who wants to talk to me? I had 1 year that was halfway decent. But like I said, I've been riding since I was a little kid, just a little bit of everything, a little YZ80s. And like I said, we finally made the transition to the ATC 110. Then that changed everything.
Well, this is how I got connected to you.
Hey, I'm going to do something real quick. I got to get up here. Oh my God. Yeah, that's from probably, oh my gosh, was that Quad Zone back when or something like that?
This is
EX Riders. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, that's
so
been a long time ago.
my brother was doing something and he found that and he
Yeah.
gave that to me and I started reading through it and I knew some of the names, so I started reaching out to some of the people and you don't we don't remember everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I've met hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, so I don't remember all the names. And if they didn't technically ride for us, you knew the name in passing, so you may have misplaced them or forgot them. And as busy as
Oh yeah.
we are, things like this help me out. And I'm like, oh, great. This is awesome.
it was awesome for me too. I got to relive it and talk about it again. So
Did you do any research prior to coming on to find out exactly what it was like?
actually, I got online, got on YouTube, and like I said, I really don't do much on the internet. But I got on there and went through, and I saw you had a lot of interviews. I saw some names and everything else, and actually almost reached out to one of the girls that I used to race with, Stephanie Parton, which I still talk to her from time to time. She's pretty close by. I just wanted to make sure this was legit. Then I actually went through and I saw, hey, this is legit. And I wanted to yell at her and let her know about this too. But oh
You
yeah,
have, if you have her contact, I'd be more than glad to talk to her.
oh yeah, I definitely do. I definitely do.
Make sure that if you pass the word on to somebody, that you're going to, get the contact to me, that they know ahead of time. I've
Okay,
had, I've reached out to a couple of people that didn't know, they didn't know, and they were
yeah,
got a little, I don't know what this is,
yeah,
just a
yeah,
conversation. I don't interview anybody. I just want
yeah.
to have a conversation about the industry, and there's so many young people that have no idea what it was like, and that there's history before them.
Oh yeah, even some of the ones that are out there now, some of the pro racers that are getting older, they think they're old. I'm thinking, my gosh, you guys are not old. You're not very old. And like I said, I sat down last night and was looking at how old is Bill Balance now, and how old's William Yoakley, because they were the premier guys back when in the pro class. I'm seeing they're 7 and 8 years, well, 6 to 8 years younger than me, and I'm like, dang, I didn't realize how old I got. You know, I was 34, you know, at the time out there. And it was like, holy cow. I'm, I don't know. I felt good. I thought, I didn't think I was too old, but looking now, some of the guys that are out there in their late 30s are thinking they're old. I'm like, I don't know, that's still young to me, I think, but,
Adam McGill is 38, I think, and Chad Weenan on the motocross side is 40.
oh yeah, that's still, I
Chris
think that's
Borich,
still young.
Chris Borich is in his 40s.
I ran into Chris's dad at Bike Week in Daytona this year.
Nice.
Yeah, talked to Chris's dad, and but yeah, that was good times. Chris was a kid, young kid back when. I remember him coming over. I don't know if you remember Jim Stack by any chance, but Chris Bortz and Jim Stack were pretty close. They would come over, and Chris was my oldest son's like hero, and they'd come over to our toy hauler, and that was everything for them back when. And good times. It was so awesome.
Right. And that's why I like, and this sounds bad, but we're older guys now.
Yeah.
If you get the older people to come in and talk about what it was like back then, because it's not the same.
No, no, it's not. And I can even make another connection. I'm probably ranting and getting off track, but Chris Neal. Chris Neal, I jumped on the V Force and raced with Chris Neal, Bryson Neal's dad, in four-stroke stock also.
Are you ready to be captivated by one of nature's masterpieces? Discover the breathtaking beauty of Antelope Slot Canyon, a natural wonder in Page, Arizona. Join us on a guided tour and immerse yourself in the mystical light beams, rich colors, and serene landscapes. With tours at prime sunbeam hours, experience photographer's paradise and capture memories that will last a lifetime. Comfortable shoes, a camera, and a smile are all you need for this adventure. Book your journey today at Antelope Slot Canyon Tours and let the canyon enchant you. Please visit us now, antelopeslotcanyon.com, for more details.
I raced the V. I think that was in 2003 also, because I wasn't really stuck racing in the utility unlimited or the U2 class or whatever it was back at the time. And I jumped in 4-stroke stock just so I can race against the sport quads. So I got to race with Chris Neal back when, and of course we're about the same age, and Bryson was the same age as my youngest son, and they used to race local back when in youth series together. And like I said, my youngest son really kind of got away from it. One of his friends got hurt in an ATV accident and passed away, so he kind of stepped away. And my oldest son, like I said, he's kind of hit and missed, jumped on my Renegade a couple times and destroyed it for me, and did snowshoe with it. It's, my God, that's been some years ago now. And there's an interview out there, and I just like going back and listening to it. But made it on the podium first time out on the bike, and like I said, it's kind of nice, It's, I don't know, just we all still love being in the outdoors on ATVs.
And that right there, you just said it. That's what it's all about.
Yes, it is.
The
Yes, it
love of
is.
ATV riding and racing. And, that's just why we're here. Because for years, when I was going to races out here on the West Coast, and you'd see magazines and you'd see some stuff on the internet, but you never heard the story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So nobody was telling it. So that's where this comes from. It's not, I'm not trying to just focus in on one type of riding or, being a news channel for motocross. I want to talk to the guys that were back there in the trenches, when really men were men and we were way tougher.
Well, yeah, I think it's changed a lot. Like I said, it's more of a sprint, a NASCAR type of race at the Nationals. But you know what? It's still growing and it's still happening. So that's awesome. But it's not the same. I remember this, taking myself even further back. I was at Blackwater from '86 through '93. I
Yeah.
was there. I was there on a bike. I didn't really want to do it. Like I said, I was just a trail rider, a weekend rider, just there to watch. And I was down at the river crossing with all the Yahoos back when our local TV station from Charleston, West Virginia, showed up, and Kenny Bass was the news reporter. I made it on TV. So it was kind of neat. And I think I got an old VHS tape. I was on the hillside helping pull people up. And that was, back then, '86 through '93, there were still three-wheelers intermingled. And it was awesome. It was awesome being there for all of it. For me, that was the beginning, the Blackwater, and finding out about the Blackwater. Then, like I said, through the years, the rioting and everything turned into, hey, let's go hit a local race. Let's hit a GNCC and see what that's about. And that's what started it all. So, and I just got lucky with the Kawasaki thing, because talking to people on the forum that were actually the factory riders back then, hey, bring the bike over and let, the Japanese are here wanting feedback. And Doug was there, and one thing led to another, and I got a ride out of it. So kind of weird how it all played together,
Yeah, exactly. And that's just the way it happens sometimes. You don't have to be that superstar guy that did
Oh,
it
yeah.
for you be in the right place at the right time, and bang, there you go.
And there's a lot of us out there. There's so many people out there with so much talent that just don't have the time nor funding to be out there to be that top guy,
Right.
So but just being out there riding, that's awesome. That's what it's all about.
We could always complain about level playing fields and things like that.
That's
Life is
life.
what it is,
Yep.
and that that guy's just fortunate to be where he is. I mean, right now, if you look at it, Bryson Neal, that kid is a monster.
Yes, he's unstoppable right now. And I everybody, I know there'll be a change of guard here in a few years.
Yep.
I watch every race live scoring with my phone and just see how things are going. We got a couple other local racers here. Uh, Brandon Owens, he's a young kid that's
Yep.
real close by, and Alex Tiemann. My boys are really close with Alex. His actually his aunt is the babysitter for my grandkids. So I get to hear from her of how things are going, but he's definitely an up and comer. He's kicking butt in the XC2 class. If he can get a good if he can get a good start, he's going to be in the top all the time.
You need to
So
listen to some of our race reports because we talk about him. He's always a person of topic because he gets himself on the podium. He makes great decisions. You
yes,
know, he's doing phenomenal. He came
yep,
out or 25. He came out in 23 or 2024 and popped onto the podium as a no name, just moving in to the to the XC2 class. And since then, we've been talking about him. I messed up
oh,
his name for the 3 quarters of the season.
yeah.
Couldn't pronounce it. Um, that I'd love to have that guy on the show. Young people just don't seem to see the importance of promoting themselves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, I was kind of hesitant about it because I'm just me. I'm just happened to get lucky and got a ride. I'm just an ATV lover that got a chance to go out there and ride for a year. Like I said, a year was enough because that wasn't for me. It turned into a job, but I love it. I love the sport. Love watching it. I didn't want to do it all the time, but I didn't want to take the fun away from it. But yes, Alex is a local boy. Hopefully, he stays with it and keeps pushing himself. But it's fun to sit back and watch people that do it. And since my boys are really not doing it that much, but anymore, and maybe the race, like I said, coming up this next weekend. But I don't know. I live for that. I live for it.
And that's what it's all about. That's why we're here. Is we're not here to just talk to Bryson Neal and Walker Fowler and Joel Hetrick and Chad Ween. And it's great to have those guys on, but the real core of the industry is the ATV enthusiast. Your story. So it's your story.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
your
yeah.
deal. And how many people know your story?
Yeah. Like I said, I was around so many people and I can connect the dots. Hey, I know this one, I know that one. I was around all these people at the same time back when, and it was just everything aligned and it worked out. Going to Millfield in 2003, everything worked out for me and I got to do a full year of it. And like I said, I got lucky. I got lucky and I still have to, I think 1,000 8x11s in the garage
There you
scaring
go.
away mice. But but I had colors in my hair. I didn't have a bald spot. But time went quick.
Do you
Time
still
went
have the
quick.
trophy?
I have everything put back. Have everything put back. I got my jacket, class winning jacket. I've got all that put back. I reflect back on it every once in a while, trying to figure out how this time went by so fast. But it keeps going faster when you get older.
It does. It does. I
It
keep
definitely does.
My dad's going to be 90 this year. And I ask him, I say, Pops, why didn't you tell me it was going to get so rough as I got older?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what's the deal? And he goes, Hey, I tried to tell you, you just didn't listen.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. I'm beat
Yeah.
up, banged up, bruised up. The one thing is, I never got hurt racing. I never got hurt racing. I always got hurt messing around, you know, riding with the buddies and my brother, which was my mechanic back then, but he'd be usually one dragging me to the emergency room or getting me to the squad, shattered my pelvis here, had a lot of things happen just playing around, but I never got hurt racing. So I always had my safety equipment and everything, but I always got hurt playing around. But man, I wouldn't trade this life for anything. I had a good time.
I'll probably go under the knife this year sometime to fix my shoulder that I destroyed in 2004.
Oh yeah, it's scary stuff. Scary stuff.
I mean, I believe that we came from a different mold because when I dislocated and broke my shoulder, I raced the next day and I won. And
Yeah,
and
that is.
yeah, and then 2 weeks later I was in France racing.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
I never went. My first doctor's appointment for that shoulder was in 2014.
Oh my God. That's my foot and my right leg was numb for the longest time. I didn't want to get it checked until it was to the point, I really couldn't really feel my foot very well. And I finally had to get a first back operation. And I kept riding, and up until I couldn't. And the second operation, I came out of that and couldn't walk. And I went to a walker. Then, finally got myself going now, but still got the foot numb. I got more discs that need to replace cages. And I actually just came from Cleveland last week. And I've got 3 ruptured discs in my neck and some other stuff going on. But you know what? I'm good. I'm still alive.
Yeah.
And if I could get out there and ride again, I would. But
well, I'm glad that I got your story, and I appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, don't forget to share us with your family and friends. The podcast is available on all streaming platforms, and you can find us on social media as ATV-TALK Podcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter.